The Quest 3 has a problem that no one is talking about. Yesterday, I read 2 early previews of World War Z VR, both from trusted VR sites. One called it hollow, stripped down, and disappointing, a ghost of the original Flat game, and the other said it was surprisingly fun, packed with zombie hordes, and deeper than expected. Same game, same platform, wildly different verdicts. And that is when it hit me. VR might be the most subjective gaming media we've ever had. That's a real problem for creators, developers, and players. Because if we don't talk about it, we'll keep trashing decent games, excusing broken ones, and skipping titles that might have been perfect if we just tried them out for ourselves. These reviews illustrate a deeper problem with virtual reality, and I think there's a solution, but let's talk about what the problem is first. The problem is that VR feels different for everyone. What's comfortable for one person can be uncomfortable for another, even down to things like frame rate, sensitivity, how your headset is fitting, whether you're hot or cold or whatever. All of those things can deeply influence your opinion of what you're experiencing when in the headset. And that is just scratching the surface. When you add in things like expectations, genre bias, and even the way that you're feeling or your mood when you play a game, that can directly impact how two people might have totally different takes on the same game. And yes, we get that to some degree in flat gaming and in movies, but in my opinion, after over 6 years of nearly daily VR gaming, VR is by far one of the most subjective medias I have ever experienced. For instance, you could have a first-person shooting game, and one person is happy to have a simplified reloading method where maybe you jam a clip in and it automatically reloads for you, while another one wants full-on immersion. While it's great to have both options in a game, games take liberties to adjust their gameplay based on the specific type of game they have, or the players they expect to be playing their games. You could have 2 people play the game, have everything else about the game be excellent, and then have the reloading method not be what someone wants it to be or their expectation, and they could leave a 1-star review in the store based solely on the fact that maybe the reload mechanic isn't just like Contractors, or it's not just like Population 1, or maybe they struggled reloading while enemies were coming after them based on the fact that they're not used to reloading in that method. Now, before we go on with this, let's be honest, some games are just awful, and they can universally be agreed on the fact that they're just not good games. When a game is buggy, broken, or it's a lazy port that doesn't really bring VR interactions to a game, which really drives me crazy, or it has no polish and there's things that could have been fixed but weren't, that is when you have a massive problem. And it happens. And creators and players should not be afraid to call those things out to these developers because they are issues. But we can't lump all criticism into "this game sucks" if we don't recognize the subjective filter of VR itself. There are basic things that can be wrong with a game that make it bad, but there are also a lot more things that are subjective that can be based on opinion or the way that the game was played by the individual. Personally, I think the only real answer to this question or problem is game trials. If all developers on the Quest platform were required to, or at least wanted to, have a game trial of their game to allow players even to play 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of a game to see how they feel with the game, how the comfort settings are for them, how they enjoy the gameplay, that personally for me is the only real answer to this question. And Meta supports game trials, and a lot of games, if you didn't know it, actually have game trials. It's a lifeline in such a subjective space like VR. I think that if there's a game trial for a game, it's going to open up the opportunity for a lot more people to try these games and actually buy them based on their personal opinion. I've always watched reviews of things, whether it's flat gaming, movies, products. I make a decision based on other people's opinions. And a lot of the times it's pretty valid, or at least when it comes to the technical things, it's valid. But I've also found there's a lot of subjectivity in everything in life. VR amplifies that to the nth degree, making it so that you could watch a review from one channel that completely tears apart a VR game and you play the game and it becomes your favorite game, or it's just at least not as bad as was made out to be in the review. Now, trials aren't a perfect solution because you don't get the full depth of the game. You don't get to see how long the game is, but you get the basics of the mechanics and of the game. So it's not perfect, but it's about the best that we have currently to combat that subjectivity. The real takeaway here, and what I've been thinking about for a while, is that negativity is not truth. Just because someone had a bad time or bad experience with someone doesn't mean that you will. And just because someone loved it doesn't mean it'll work for you either. Now, that doesn't mean that truth has to be dead. It just means that we have to get better at listening, trying, and talking about VR like it's a personal medium, because it is. You see, for me, I personally don't do reviews on the channel primarily because I'm overly positive. In life, I choose to see the positive in pretty much everything. If it's a bad day, I'll find the good in the day. If it's a terrible movie or TV show, or if it's an awful video game, I'll tend to enjoy what's there to enjoy. Now, if it's just downright trash or atrocious, I just steer clear from it. But overall for me, and it drives people crazy, even in my real world life, I am extremely positive. My wife used to tell me that I was too positive and that it was sunshine and rainbows all the time for me, because that's the way that I choose to live and look at things, through rose-colored glasses, because I've found that for me, that's the most fulfilling life that I have. And I bring that to my channel because I know that I can be encouraging and positive for other people out there, because there's a lot of negativity in the world, and I don't want to be a part of that negativity. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't negative things to say about certain games, and I try to give my opinion when it has something wrong with it in a game, or it's something that I don't like or I know people aren't going to enjoy. There are plenty of other people out there that are ready to give a negative review if a game deserves a true negative review. In fact, I don't even play games that I see as negative. If I play something, I'm just not going to play it on the channel if I don't enjoy it, because I play VR to enjoy it. So for me, the true problem that the Quest 3 has right now is subjectivity. And it's not necessarily a problem, but we also don't necessarily have a solution for it. Trials is the best thing I could come up with as a solution so that you can get hands-on with a game and make your own personal decision. It's so wildly different because you could watch clips of a movie or of a game and listen to someone talk about it and feel like you know what the experience is. It's so different when you have a VR game, because you're not really understanding how it feels to experience that. Like, what does it actually look like? What does it actually feel like? What does it actually feel to experience this world that's been created in VR and interact with it? Maybe you would actually enjoy it more than you expected to. See, that's the problem with VR, and I think that there has to be a creative solution to that. And the only one I can come up with is trials, because then you get to try something before you're forking money over for it. Of course, a lot of people use the refund policy as well, anything under 2 hours, but again, if you're buying a lot of games, that eventually goes away and you can't get refunds for absolutely everything, so that's not perfect either. But now it's time for me to ask you, have you ever loved a game that everyone hated, or maybe you hated a game that everyone loved? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are, or maybe you have a solution to this problem. Let me know that down below as well. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so that more people can see it. I'd love as many people as possible to comment down below with what they think about this whole problem and situation, as I think it needs to be highlighted. People need to understand that things are so subjective with VR that you can literally have two people with opposing opinions and neither of them are necessarily wrong. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. And as always, happy questing.